Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Football Friends podcast. It's Gage here, and I just thought I'd do a wee short video for you today. This is our page here. If you could go along and subscribe, that'd be really cool. We really appreciate it, and chuck a like on our videos when you watch them. That'd be awesome. So, what I want to talk about today is a bit more on the torrid state of Manchester United at the moment. Just recently, it has been dividend day. So if you don't know, Manchester United are owned by these two fellas here, the Glazers brothers, I believe. And yeah, they've owned the club for a number of years now, and a lot of people are critical of the Glazers. You may have seen some of the protests over their sort of running of the club, because the thing is, everyone says that they treat the club like a business rather than actually a sports club. And of course, the fans do not like this at all. Every 6 months or so, there's dividend day, so shareholders of the club receive dividends, like they're a payout for holding shares and stuff like that. And so this time they've taken 11 million was issued in dividends, and I believe that they took the lion's share of that. So more of it was distributed amongst other shareholders and stuff like that, but they took the majority of the $11 million. And, just so you know, Manchester United are the only club that actually do this, that actually take dividends out of the club. There is no other club that does this. And that's the thing. They treat this like a business, and it seems to be having like massive catastrophic effects. And I'm sort of starting to come around to the protesters' opinions now. One major critic of them, of course, is Gary Neville here. And so he has just basically slammed them over this taking these dividends. And so it says here that they've owned the club since 2005, and I think they've collected dividends every 6 months since 2016. So that means they've been taking dividends out of the club even through COVID and all that kind of stuff. Since then, our debt has increased 11% to 496 million, and so total debt now is sitting at 561 million pounds, which is a hell of a lot of debt, and so they keep, but despite that, they keep cashing out. And he has been critical lately, and he says that they should not be putting their hands in the kitty for at least the next 3 years. Because one thing about us at the moment is that it's probably about time our stadium had a bit of an update. It's called Old Trafford for a reason, and Carrington, our training facility, both of these probably are due for an upgrade. And the more money we take out, that's money that could be spent on the club. Like 11 million is not necessarily a lot for a transfer or anything like that, buying a player. But in terms of upgrading your facilities, it's actually quite a lot. It could actually have quite a good impact. And yeah, and this is all after we've had the new CEO, Richard Arnold, who replaced Ed Woodward, who was another person who was everyone was very critical of. He recently had this. There was a protest being planned at Man U by the anti-Glazer protests, and he met them at this pub and sort of gave them, told them kind of what was going on. He pretty much said that the club has burned through cash after a nightmare season, and that they've spent horribly over the billions of pounds on players, spent more than anyone in Europe. And so he sort of was saying that the problem is all the spending. But then that's sort of hypocritical, because they're still taking money out of the club when finances are worse than ever. And it just doesn't line up. It's just terrible. Yeah, and then so just today, this group must have joined Gary Neville in admonishing the Glazer family over these dividend payments. Now, Must, which are the Manchester United Supporters Trust, have come out and termed the move for taking the dividends as totally unacceptable and indefensible. Well, that's the other thing too, is that everyone kind of thought that, in sort of a realpolitik Machiavellian kind of style, when they took the dividends out of the club, 11 million, obviously everyone was going to be mad about this and going crazy. So everyone kind of assumed that they would time this with, some transfer news or something like that. We would see a player come, or see progress on the Frankie de Jong deal or something, to basically offset the money they've taken, because that would, blow up on the internet. It would completely drown out any mention of these dividends. But it didn't even happen. So we're getting to the point where they don't even need to kind of hide their dirty dealings. They can just sort of do it blatantly in our face, and we're just expected to take it. Because no fan is going to stop watching their beloved club. They're not going to stop buying merch. They're not going to stop buying season tickets. They love this club. And as long as that continues, the Glazers are going to keep getting money. So, yeah, a lot of this is just enraging, and obviously it's contributing to the sort of transfer woes we've had lately. There hasn't been a lot of progress. We still haven't signed a player, and there's only about 4 weeks left of the transfer window. And so because of this, it's even upsetting Ronaldo, and who is one of our biggest draws to the club. I saw just the other day that Leo Messi has already made $700 million for PSG since he transferred, in shirt sales and sponsorships and all sorts of things like that. So I imagine we have kind of the same similar thing with Ronaldo. Maybe not as much, but Ronaldo brings a lot of money into this club, and if we lose him, that's a lot more income missing. And Ronaldo's really upset. He says, he's upset with the lack of progress in the transfer market because there still hasn't been a signing. And essentially, he said, allegedly, he has issued the club with an ultimatum: up your game, or I'm going to leave. And that's the thing. If we lose Ronaldo too, that's come on, that's embarrassing. This is a guy who loves the club, and he doesn't even want to be here. And if you need any more evidence to suggest that our transfer woes are kind of heading to like a critical point, we've actually just recently had to appoint Tom Keane, who is the brother of Michael Keane, and he's going to join Man U as a transfer consultant to help with our transfer deals. Because obviously we're just kicking rocks at this point. That's like nothing is absolutely happening. It's been absolutely ridiculous. And so Tom Keane is being brought in on a consultancy basis. He's going to replace Matt Judge. So he works for a law firm, Brandsmith's legal firm. So he has experience in managing high profile clients and experience in the football industry and things like that. So he is going to provide some good insight into these transfers and hopefully can help us negotiate and all those kind of things. But look, how desperate are we if we're actually having to appoint extra staff for this? They were kind of claiming before that the transfer team was like spending 12 hours per day working on these transfers and stuff. What were they doing for 12 hours a day then? Because nothing's happened. The transfer window's 12 weeks. We've already wasted 8 weeks. And they're doing 12-hour days? Are you joking? Like, I haven't seen anything. Like, there's been no progress on any deal at all. We've only just put in our second bid for Frankie de Jong, and that hasn't even happened yet. Ridiculous. So obviously they're desperate. They have to pull in new staff to try and at least get some transfer deals. And I'm getting a bit worked up here. And this next one actually really, really pissed me off because Ten Hag is pushing for the signing of Antony from Ajax, Brazilian left-footed right winger, which is something we desperately need. And basically, they're saying here that Manchester United FC have told Ten Hag that they have to sell before they're going to commit to signing anyone. And Eric Bailly and Andreas Pereira are the top of this to be sold priority list. Are you absolutely joking? This is ridiculous. If all these players needed to be sold before you could do any transfer deals, why didn't you spend the last 8 weeks focusing on the outgoing transfers? Is it actually Ten Hag's job to sell players? Like I thought his job was just to identify the players he wants. It's actually the club that's supposed to sell all these players. Because how's he? If we just want them off the books entirely, it doesn't matter where they go. So any decent transfer deal that comes in, we should just accept. What amount of negotiation is involved in that? What part does Ten Hag actually play in that? It's absolutely ridiculous. I would personally find that very insulting to have him say that. It's like, no, you brought me in to build a team, build my team, build the team. You trust me as a manager. You want me to come in here and build my team to do well in your league. And I've identified the players I want, and hasn't even delivered yet on a single player. Absolutely ridiculous. And it just outrageous. But to be fair, I think that Erik ten Hag may have been well aware of this sort of deal because he signed the contract, and I don't think that he has been promised, $300 million transfer budget and all the players he wants and all this stuff. I don't think he's actually been promised that. I think he's been sort of told, you're gonna get what you're given, and just you have to do better with the same team that got the record lowest number of points in decades. Pretty much, he just has to do good with what we've got. Maybe you get a couple of players added to that, because he doesn't seem to be complaining. If anything, he actually seems enthusiastic. Ten Hag definitely plays a part in this too. He agreed to the deal, and you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a new manager, and making transfers as a new manager is difficult because he hasn't worked with the squad. He doesn't know who he can work with. He doesn't know which players are salvageable and all that stuff. So that's why he is only looking at signing Ajax players and stuff like that. He's literally only trying to sign players that he trusts, players he has worked with before and that he knows are good. So when you can talk about all these players we've missed out on, but he doesn't know anything about them at all. He doesn't have the luxury of managers like Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola who are able to scout, who have been scouting players for the last year. They line them up for ages. He's come in and everything is just on his plate. He has to do it all on the spot. So it makes sense that he only wants to go for these particular players. But we're stalling on all deals, and it's just making things really shit. So, but back to what I was saying about Ten Hag, being involved in this, agreeing to this deal. Well, I found this article here very interesting. They're saying that Erik Ten Hag played a big part in Ralf Rangnick's Manchester United exit. And so they're saying that because Ralf Rangnick was supposed to have a 2-year consultancy role after his role as an interim manager, but in the end he was just sacked, and now he is the manager of Austria. So, and they're saying here that Ten Hag was reluctant to work with Rangnick in this proposed role, but the reasons what he's saying are quite weird to me, because he's saying here that Rangnick was expecting a face-to-face meeting with Ten Hag to discuss future transfers and his vision for the club, and whereas Ten Hag just wanted to talk to him on the phone or something like that, I don't see like this is a major deal. What's the big deal with this? Whatever, meet in person, talk on the phone, who cares? But I think what it really is about this line here. United was said to be unhappy with some of the Germans' comments, hinting at 10 new signings this summer. And that's, so earlier on, when Rangnick was still interim manager, he reportedly said that United need as many as 10 or 11 players. They need to make that many signings because the club is in such a bad state. And, 6, 7, 8 players need to go as well. That was his sort of comment. And I think that when United are a club that are trying to scrape every penny and not spend as much as possible, as soon as you say that they need to sign 10 players, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to sign 10 players, or are they just going to sack you? And I think that's exactly the thought here, is that the club was like, we're not going to sign 10 players. That's outrageous. We're not going to spend that kind of money. So we might as well just sack this guy. And now I guess they're trying to pin this on Ten Hag. So then they're just trying to say it was Ten Hag that disagreed with him. When I think like that may have been part of the deal, And so they say Ten Hag seemed to be a very driven man who abides by his own vision and principles. It could have been a case of clash of ideas. Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd clash a little bit too. But because Rangnick knows that we need 10 players. He knows that this club is in dire straits and they need 10 players. Whereas Ten Hag has been brought in to get 1 or 2 players and make do with what is in the squad already. And that is totally ridiculous. Like I said, this is the same. Last season was the worst season on record. And if anything, the squad is only weaker so far. We have not added any players yet. And if we don't, we may even not be in the Europa League next season. We're supposed to be a team challenging at least for top 4. We're a decade behind clubs like Liverpool, Manchester City, and Chelsea. And I didn't like hearing that when I first heard it when Rangnick was saying it, but now that I think about it, he's totally right. And there's no way we're going to make it into Champions League if we keep up with this nonsense. Something has to be done. All right, I think that's all I really want to say here. Got a little bit heated there, I guess. Yeah, it's just totally annoying. Come on, we need to see some transfer action. Probably will get some players. I'm sure we will actually sign someone eventually. But come on, these players need to be in the squad and already. And they need to be training with the team, so to make sure they actually work out and all this stuff. The clubs who act earliest on transfers are the ones that do the best, and this is just classic. It's just enough is enough, man. Come on, it's got to be Glazers out. I think the Glazers are the heart of this problem, and I don't think anything is going to change as long as they're still here treating this club like a business. All right, well, that's probably it for today. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the Football Friends podcast. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Cheers.